After making her comedy TV debut during the pandemic on Mock the Week, comedian Maisie Adam is a regular face on our TV screens.
Now she is the host of a hit soccer podcast and is bringing her new comedy show Appraisal on the road. Let's take a look at her in action.
Woke up in Sydney Hospital, I had this big bandage round my head, I looked like Mr. Bump, and my husband was there, he was right at the bedside and he said, "You're all right, love, you're okay, don't worry, you've been really well looked after and there's nothing to sort out. I've done all the paperwork, I've done all the forms, done it all, name, date of birth, address, I've even done occupation, because I know you don't like to say what it is you actually do." I says, "Right, what did you put?" He put, "Well, like you, I kept it vague." I said, "Right, what did you put?" He said, "Well, you know, like you, I kept it half true." I said, "Yep, what did you put?" He put evening entertainment.
Maisie, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have to say first, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And we're dragging you out of bed early to chat to us when you should be having breakfast in bed or something fabulous.
No, listen, I can't thank you guys enough. I was just saying then, I woke up this morning going, I'll check my phone, see who's messaged for happy birthday. And all I could see was about these red weather warnings you guys are having. So thank you. I'm just relieved to see you on my screens.
Oh, yay. We're
glad to be alive. Glad to be alive. And you've worn red to match the warning, so thank you for that.
Yes.
So
You're welcome.
Was there a birthday card? Has there been any presents yet? Has there been food?
Do you know what? I did all right. Listen, I'm 31 today, so I wasn't expecting that many cards. I think I've done all right. 7 cards.
Okay.
7 cards.
That's okay.
Real life cards, that's
Yeah.
great, and they're not even emails. Now, I do have to ask you, your new show, Appraisal, will hit these shores fairly soon. What can your fans expect from this one?
Oh, so I'm very, very excited to be back on tour. This is my second ever tour, and I've called this show Appraisal because I figured it could be kind of a show of me taking stock of how I think I'm getting on at things, not just work, home life, friendship groups, aging, of course. But also, I called it Appraisal mainly because I've been able to say that for 5 years now, I've been a professional comedian, i.e. not having to sort of do any other side jobs to be a comedian. And I figured with any other job, you get a 5-year appraisal. So this tour is basically that. I mean, basically every gig is an appraisal, isn't it? In that you've got a bunch of people sat across from you, letting you know in real time how you're doing at your job. So that'll be what you could expect from the evening.
So are we encouraging the Irish audience to show up with clipboards and start making notes?
Clipboards. Yeah. Room for, feedback of what I'm doing well, what is a room for improvement. A good firm handshake at the start of the gig would be great.
That would be good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, to ask you that question that so many people dread and some welcome very much. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh God. I guess the real answer is turning 36, isn't it, today? And I'm not really thinking further ahead than that. But genuinely, I mean, you mentioned there that I broke through in the pandemic. I would never have thought that would have gone well, trying to become sort of a professional comedian and breaking through from the pandemic. That's already mad enough for me to get my head round. So I'll be chuffed to bits if I can go another 5. I'm just it's the dream job, and getting to go on tour is the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, you got your start on So You Think It's Funny, but I have to ask you about Mock the Week. It's one of my favourite shows. It must have been a real pinch-me moment to have yourself sitting there in that studio.
Yeah. I mean, it was a show that literally I watched all the time growing up. I used to come back from school and go on the family computer and just go on YouTube watching all the clips of scenes we'd like to see. So to suddenly find yourself in that studio and you're trying to sort of hold your own. And I mean, it used to be terrifying doing that bit where you both walked up to the microphone at the same time, and often against some of your, childhood comedy heroes. So it was a pretty in at the deep end, let's say. But it was such a huge help for me for breaking through. Yeah.
Bearing in mind that you're coming into that show and like you said, working with some of your comedy heroes, were they generous?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I always remember Dara was so. I mean, he must have introduced across the course of Mock the Week. He must have introduced hundreds of new comedians, given them their first start, and he always made. I remember when it was my first one. He made me feel really, special and welcome, and took the time to go through everything. And it must have been so boring for him to go through the basics. But I watched him then do it with a further 20 odd new comedians. So yeah, I'm always very grateful for. He's always got so much time for everybody, and I learned a lot as well in that way of how to always look out for people who are maybe a bit newer than you.
Yeah.
Send the ladder back down, as they say, for the next.
Yeah, exactly.
We of course, I was going to talk about The Chase because you were in that many moons ago.
Oh, come on!
But in a different kind of life, let us say, before comedy bit you really.
Oh, I just watched you guys throw Ryan under the bus because he made his Oscar predictions yesterday. You're fired up today, aren't you? You're fired up.
We're sitting here in the middle of a storm. You have to suffer with us.
Yeah, you go. Will you introduce someone and then just chuck them under the bus? Listen, I do speak about The Chase in the show. I do touch on it because it does every now and then. It gets repeated. And it was about 10 years ago now. It was long before I was a comedian. I was still a student at university. But every now and then it'll find itself on one of the quiz show channels, and my social media goes off because it's such a disastrous performance. So I think if I had an appraisal for that, I don't think I'd be getting another 5 years.
We've all had disastrous televisual performances.
She was so bad. Paul Sinha remembered her because she was so bad.
Yeah, I know. I turned up to do a gig like years later, obviously, when I was still when I was a new act, and he was the headliner. And I was like, should I say it? No, he does like 3 records a day. He won't remember. And he went to me in the green room. He went, I know you, don't I? I said, oh yeah, we were on The Chase together. I didn't think you'd remember though. And bless him, he just went, no, very few people do that badly. So,
you gotta go back.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to hear before you go on stage to try and impress him. Yeah. But he's been so lovely. We've since crossed paths on loads of other gigs, and he's a fantastic comedian as well. So
you have to go back and do a celeb version. She has to.
Yeah,
I need redemption. I need redemption.
Can we talk football? Because your football podcast has just taken off. We assume you're in your studio right now talking to us.
No, not quite. The studio that we do it from is my friend Susie Ruffle, also a brilliant comedian, who's actually just down the road here in Brighton. So we do it there. But it's a really fun podcast. Obviously, the growth of the women's game has just grown and grown and grown. So it's been really, really exciting to be part of that. And I'm aware of saying this. It might be touchy to be said, a bit of a risky one to be saying on Ireland AM, because we all saw Katie McCabe's tears that Ireland won't be in the Euros. But obviously this year is a huge year for the women's game with that coming up. Oh, what a lovely... and just like that, you throw me under the bus again with that beautiful photo of me with my tongue out.
You were focused on kicking the ball. Come on.
I was. But listen, like Soccer Aid, you get put in front of like your dream football players, your again, your childhood heroes. So you're, at least with comedy, when I'm put in front of my childhood heroes, that is what I do as a job. So you're kind of confident you can hold your own. When you get asked to play football alongside Roberta Carlos and Jill Scott, and Robbie Keane was our coach, it was just mortifying.
Hey, look, you did better than you did on The Chase, so that's all right.
Take consolation with that.
That's a pretty low bar. It's a pretty low bar.
Oh, Maisie. But look, hey, if you're asked to play again this year, it could be 3 wins on the bounce, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Hope so. Hope so. I'd be there in a shot.
It's great chatting to you, of course.
Really
and happy birthday again.
Thank you,
next year, come back to us next year. We'll bake you a cake, sing you a song and everything.
Yeah. It's the 10th anniversary of our 21st.
Yeah.
Make the best of it. You can catch Maisie's brand new show, Appraisal, live at the Ambassador Theatre Dublin on February the 4th.